I talked about the best movies of 2021. Now it's time to talk about the best shows of 2021. To clarify, I'm talking about shows that had their premiere episode, their premiere season in 2021. So you won't see any returning shows. You won't see any shows that ended this year. Another disclaimer, I also don't have every single streaming service that's out there. I have a lot of them, but I do not have all of them. I don't have Apple TV Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus. So none of those shows are going to be on this list at all because I have no way to watch them. But otherwise, I think this year has been a great year, not only for movies, but for TV shows. So let's get right into it. Number 10, Hit Monkey. This has been a good year for animation, and I really enjoyed this one. If you're not familiar, it's on Hulu. It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a monkey that is an assassin. This sounds so crazy, but it works. I like the animation style. It's kind of like Archer, so if you like Archer, you're probably going to like this show. And it kind of has that same sort of comedic timing. But overall, I thought this was really fun. It's a great cast. You have Jason Sudeikis, George Takei, Ali Maki, Olivia Munn. It's a great cast that all work well together, especially Jason Sudeikis with the monkey. Like that, just their chemistry is like really what drives the show. And then of course there's great action, and especially in the second half, it gets really bonkers. And on top of that, it's a great story. So I highly recommend this one. Number 9, Reservation Dogs. This was one of the best comedies of the year for sure. It's a great cast, great ensemble cast. It's funny, it's heartfelt. They do touch on some very serious topics, but I think they handle it really well. There has been some critique about certain elements of the show, which I do think are valid and that they should address them in future seasons. But I'm really looking forward to see where these characters go. They did renew it for a new season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do next. Number 8, Wandavision. I'm going to be honest, I was going to put this higher on my list, but then as I thought about it more, that ending just left a bad taste in my mouth. That being said, the show overall was really fun, really innovative. They were doing something different with Phase 4, and it really opened the door for what really crazy things they could do in this new phase of Marvel. The performances were really solid across the board. Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, everybody knocked it out of the park. I really loved all the twists and turns. I loved the genre bending. I loved everything. It's just the ending. The ending kind of ruined it for me. But otherwise, I think this is still a really fun show, and it was definitely one of the best TV watching experiences of the year. Number 7, Loki. Off of the heels of WandaVision, Loki continues this trend in Phase 4 where they're just going crazy and doing all kinds of stuff in the Marvel Universe. I really love this story. Great character development for this version of Loki because he is technically a variant of the one we knew before, but it's great character development for him. We also get the introduction of Sylvie, who is one of my favorite new characters coming into Phase 4. I definitely am looking forward to seeing more of her in the future. And then Owen Wilson as Mobius. That chemistry between him and Tom Hiddleston was so well done. Now, people did have a problem with the ending of this one, and compared to WandaVision, I would still say I liked this ending a little bit better, only because WandaVision set up so many things, and not all of them necessarily paid off, but in this one, it did have a payoff. It's just, a lot of the episode was them just sitting in a room talking, which, again, I didn't mind because Jonathan Majors' performance at the end of that show was so well done. So overall, I think it's still one of my favorite shows of 2021. Number 6, Hawkeye. You might be looking at me crazy for putting Hawkeye above Loki and WandaVision, but honestly, this was just a really good show. It was honestly one of the biggest surprises of 2021. Now, Hawkeye was not my favorite Avenger, but I also thought he was getting way too much hate over the last few phases, so I really liked that they gave him his time to shine here. They really explored his trauma that he's dealt with over the years, his time as Ronin, and then you have the introduction of Kate Bishop, Haley Steinfeld, and then we also have the introduction of Maya Lopez, who we know is getting a show later on. She was great too. I am looking forward to seeing more of her. And then there's Yelena coming back. There were so many things to love about the show, and also I think it actually had the best finale of all the Marvel shows so far. Because again, the other ones, like, they were kind of doing okay, and then the ending kind of like ruined it a little bit, but this one, I think the ending delivered on everything they set up in the show itself. And it makes me look forward to seeing if they actually go ahead with the season 2, because going into this, I thought it was going to be a limited series, but maybe not. Maybe Jeremy Renner's not done yet. But this was definitely the most fun I've had with a Marvel show this year. Number 5, Made for Love. Made for Love was an early entry on this list, but I saw it and I was blown away. Kristen Milioti continues to be a great comedic performer, but she also handles a lot of the drama in the show because, again, the whole situation of what's happening is very messed up. Billy Magnuson is also someone I'm really excited to see more of in the comedy world. He is funny in everything that he does, but he also does a great job of playing this sort of unhinged character who you can tell does not have a total understanding of what he did. And on top of that, you have a great supporting performance from Ray Romano. I think this is a great cast, a great story, a great examination of this relationship and how messed up it was. But definitely check this one out on HBO Max. It really flew under the radar for a lot of people, and I think it's definitely one of the best shows of the year. I would recommend going into it without knowing anything, but honestly, it's fun either way. Number 4, Invincible. I know the animation did leave a little bit to be desired for, but overall, I didn't care. This was a really fun superhero show. It was brutal, it was funny, it had a great cast, a really, really star-studded cast, and one of the craziest finales of the year. Invincible is definitely a show I'm looking forward to seeing more of, and I think they already greenlit 2 more seasons of it, so you know it's going to be around for a while. One of the best shows of the year, for sure. Highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. Number 3, Midnight Mass. Mike Flanagan can do no wrong when it comes to these Netflix shows. Every single one of them has been great. I will say Bly Manor is probably my least favorite of the ones he's done so far, but even still, it was really good by comparison to other shows. But this man has been killing it consistently. This was another great horror show from him. To me, what made it stand out is that it felt so real, it felt so relatable, even though it had this supernatural element to it. If you grew up in church, you kind of met people like this, like the people that were in this small town. You've met preachers like that, you've met people in the clergy. It all feels so relatable. And the way they brought in the supernatural element, I'm not going to say what it was if you haven't seen it yet, but the way they brought that in was just so crazy. And then performances. Can we talk about performances? I have to give a big shout out to Hamish Linklater and Samantha Sloyan. The whole cast was great across the board, but these two I think were really the standouts of this cast. Wow, these performances blew me away. I think they're some of the best ones of the year. Number 2, Only Murders in the Building. This was just a great comedy. This was a great mystery. Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez are a dream team. These 3 together were so enjoyable. They had great chemistry on screen, and the mystery was so satisfying. The way that it all tied together was really well done. They also did some really innovative episodes in this show. One of my favorites being the one from their deaf neighbor's perspective and how they viewed everything that was happening and what role they had to play in this mystery. I thought that was one of the best episodes of TV this year. But overall, this was a solid comedy, a great mystery, and the cliffhanger definitely has me excited for the next season. I really hope the show goes on for a little while, because it's definitely one of Hulu's best of all time. And now, before we get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. This first one, I don't know where to really categorize it, because it's not technically a movie, and it's not technically a show, but either way, it's still one of the best things made this year. Bo Burnham's Inside. My goodness, this was amazing. If you don't know, he did this whole production in his house during quarantine, all by himself. I mean, of course, there's like help from producers and editors and all that stuff, but he mostly did all of this on his own. So you're seeing the journey of him creating this comedy special, the emotional toll it's taking on him, on top of the pandemic itself. It was just a work of art. This was a masterpiece. The music was so well done, so catchy. The messages of this, the jokes, everything landed. I was blown away when I watched this. I gotta watch it again because there's probably way more things I didn't even notice, but this is definitely one of the best things. It's one of the most inspirational things that I've seen this year. If you have not watched the show yet, please, or the special, please go watch Bo Burnham Inside. It is amazing. There's also Marvel's What If, their first foray into animation, I thought was pretty good. I will say all of the episodes were great, but the majority of them I enjoyed. I really love the possibilities it introduces for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I am really excited to see what they do in Season 2, because there is a Season 2 coming. Next up, Kenan. This show really flew under the radar for people. For the longest time, ever since Kenan has been on SNL, people have been talking about why hasn't this guy gotten his own show yet? And it finally happened this year. This was a really fun show, a really great ensemble cast. Chris Redd, Kenan Thompson. I'm really happy for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this show. Please support it. I don't want it to get canceled. It's on NBC, but you can watch it on Hulu, I think. Please support it. And last honorable mention, Just Beyond, which was a fun horror sort of anthology series from R.L. Stine on Disney+. It was really fun. Again, I like some episodes more than others, but I do think this is a great show for kids. It does have a lot of great messages in it, and some decent scares. There's some things that did definitely freak me out a little bit, but it is really fun, and I definitely think it's worth checking out on Disney+, if you're looking for something that's not Marvel or Star Wars to watch. And now the moment you've been waiting for, my favorite new show of 2021 is The Sex Lives of College Girls. This show absolutely blew me away. It came in late in the year, but I'm just blown away at how well they pulled this off. This was one of the most accurate depictions of college I've ever seen in a show ever, and I mean that. This one was so well done. I felt like these characters were reflections of people that I sort of came across in school. I mean, in some cases, I even see parts of myself in these characters. They just felt so fully realized. The story was so good. They had some great messages in here. They had great performances. My goodness, these girls were amazing. The lead cast is great, but also they had great supporting characters. This felt like a fully realized world, this college campus. There were so many things going on, so many different storylines that they were able to balance. But this show was just so fun. It was funny, it was hilarious, it was heartfelt. I laughed. I sometimes on the verge of tears. This show had everything. Mindy Kaling, hats off to you. You did it. This is an amazing show, and I am really looking forward to season 2. Please watch the show on HBO Max. It is the best of the year, in my opinion. So what were your favorite shows of the year so far? Let me know down in the comments. And also, Happy New Year. I'm technically filming this in 2021, but it's coming out in 2022, so Happy New Year. Hope it's a great one for you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.